Germans that there was a time when we had this huge migration or refugee problem, our own people, so to speak. And then there was a second refugee movement in our contemporary history. It was, of course, 1989. Then, when in Eastern Germany and in Eastern European countries, people stood up against communist rule, and all these communist regimes were kind of swept away in peaceful revolutions. A wonderful experience, and that all started with the refugee movement. East Germans who could not leave the Eastern Bloc, they could not get out of these communist countries. They could spend, for example, their vacation in a communist country like at the time Czechoslovakia or Hungary, but they couldn't travel to the West, and they couldn't travel to West Germany. And in 1989, many of them used their vacation time in these neighboring countries to try to escape, to flee. So they came to our embassy. I was my first posting abroad in Budapest at the time, and it all started there. So there were, in the beginning, single refugees, then dozens, then hundreds, and then thousands of Germans who came to our embassies. And it was these refugees from East Germany who kind of, made it happen, if I may say so. They made it possible that this revolution was successful, because this was an overwhelming movement. So again, some very special refugee movement in our contemporary history in Germany. Again, Germans, of course. So this is also something we have to keep in mind, and something which I hope the Germans don't forget, because it's really a wonderful experience. Now, actually, what I've said so far does not really refer to our subject, because this is something completely different, obviously. But I said it's a part of our collective psychological background, and it's important to know that, to understand what's going on in Germany and what the Germans are thinking and doing right now. Now, coming to these migrants and refugees who are flocking into Germany and other European countries right now. Well, the size of this, what is happening, is new, but not the phenomenon as such. So we have always had refugees. I mentioned this article from our basic law, from our constitution. So we always had refugees coming to Germany during the last 30, at least 35 years or more. The numbers were varying, not always huge numbers. Sometimes would be like 100,000 or 120,000 per year, or 250,000. That would be a lot. That this number went up and down. And in the past, the last 20 years or so, we had several occasions when people were discussing, well, do we have to change our laws? Do we have to adapt to the situation? These are so many. Can we still cope with this problem? So this also, the discussion is not completely new. The discussion about shall we continue doing this and how can we cope with it? But never before have we seen such numbers, so high numbers as they are now. Well, in